Welcome and welcome back. I'm so glad to have you here. So it's that time of the year when there's this rush to, set new goals for the coming year. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I am someone who also do that every 31st of the year. I write down new goals for the next year and I read out the goals that I had set the previous year, hoping to tick out everything and to see what worked and what didn't work. And of course, we all know that this year has been a year. Not to complain because there's still so much to be thankful for. I mean, personally. And for someone whose goal, one of my goals next year is to live a more simpler, slower, and intentional life. I just don't feel the need to rush into making New Year resolutions because in a way that has and has not worked for me, and that doesn't mean that I'm completely canceling planning for the next year, because you have to plan, of course, for the future. But because I have been practicing living in the moment and also leaning towards living an intentional life, I just don't feel the need to do that. I just don't want to overwhelm myself with New Year's resolutions. And I know that for some people, they probably have given up their New Year's resolution because of 2020, and that's not my point. And doesn't mean that I'm not planning. I still have so many goals I hope to achieve in the coming year. And I'm someone who used to make a vision board, which that has not changed. But I made one in May, and I'm not ready to take that out to make a new one. I probably would add a few things to it, but it's still going to be on my desk because there are still things that I hope would manifest. And because I have found a few ways that has worked for me, I thought to come here and share them with you. So if you're someone who is not trying to overwhelm themselves with these New Year resolutions, then please keep watching because this video is for you. So the first thing is to be very realistic with your goals. So I used to write very elaborate, unrealistic goals, and I call them unrealistic because for me, faith without works is dead. It's nothing. And I have come to realize that there is more to just writing goals and wishing that something will happen or putting it on a vision board without working for that thing, I'd give an example because, I have come to realize what I was doing wrong, and I hope that this would help someone out there. So one of the things that I used to write on my list was that I hope to build a home for my parents. Now, I wasn't earning enough to support that goal, and I probably didn't see a possibility of earning that much to make that goal possible. So it never happened, and I would just be so disappointed at the end of the year when I can't tick that off that it is done. So what I realized is that I wasn't exactly ready for that financial stability or the responsibility that I needed to take to achieve that. And maybe some part wasn't my fault, but it was just an unrealistic goal for those years that I was setting them. And now I realize that you have to work towards every single plan that you have. And I feel that is where a lot of us confuse this whole manifestation thing. It's like abracadabra. You put it out there on your vision board and then you wait and you hope that it just appears suddenly. While there's absolutely nothing wrong with hoping for big things, I still have big goals, like I said, but now I have learned to take simple steps towards achieving those goals. So be very realistic about your goals. You know what you can do to achieve and what you cannot do to achieve those goals. And it's okay if you put it out there, but you realize that this might take 2, 3, 5 years. It mustn't happen within, a year. Which brings me to my second point, and that is practice simple habits that would eventually lead to this goal. Another example that I'll give is when I was writing my first book. So I showed up every day. Almost every day, because if there were days that I didn't show up in front of my computer, those days can be counted, with my 10 fingers. I showed up every day, whether 1,000 words flowed or more or less or nothing at all. I just showed up, and I would say to God, the universe, I am here, I showed up, do with me what you want to do, use me and all that stuff. Now, there were days where it really overwhelmed me. It was too much, but I was glad that I did. And probably that comes from a place of desperation. I knew what I wanted to achieve at a certain age. I wanted to write my book before I turned 30, and I'm so glad that I could do that. But now writing, another book is quite different because I really genuinely love to write, and I want to write this book. So my simple habit is to set a word count per day or per week, and I make sure that this is achievable, which brings us back to the first point, that is being realistic. So I am not going to set a ridiculous word count for myself that I know that I can be very tired because I work full time and I'm now a mom. So it's quite a different situation. And then if I don't achieve that, I start to beat myself. So you take simple steps, whatever that looks like for you. For example, I hope to read every day, and you just take that simple step of placing the book beside your bedside. Or I would like to go to bed very early, and set an alarm for that. Or I would wake up very early and set an alarm to wake up and not snooze it. Could be, I would like to be fit, and you register for a gym, or you purchase some equipment that would help you and create that time. These are simple steps. But if you start overwhelming yourself, if you start focusing on that big goal, I feel that at some point you are going to overwhelm yourself, which is why I think that we are all pumped up at the beginning of the year, and then at some point, towards that middle of the year, we're no more intentional with our goals. And I feel that that's very normal because we are in a rush to get to that point. So create simple habits that will lead you towards achieving these goals. And the next one is to focus on the process instead of the result. When you hear this, it's very easy to ask, what then is the point of setting a goal if we cannot focus on that big goal? Again, I am going to emphasize on the journey itself and the progress. And there's something I always like to say, completion over perfection. And in this case, by completion, I mean, that second point which we have talked about, those small steps, because it enables you to celebrate small wins. And so, for example, you finish that task for the day, you feel very good. The next day you could finish your task, you feel very good. And at some point, you just look back and you realize how far you have come from where you used to be. And there's so much joy in that. And I feel that once you can celebrate your small wins, once you can celebrate your journey, once you can enjoy the process, the results won't really matter. But this is very personal again. I mean, it matters from individual to individual. For me, I have learned to respect also the process of transition. I have learned, or I am still learning. I wouldn't say that I have learned. I'm still learning to respect the journey, because it all lies in the journey. And sometimes you even learn more from the journey. I mean, most times you learn more from the journey than the result that we're looking forward to getting. So this is like a bonus. So don't forget to also celebrate your small wins and just try to focus on the process, whatever your goal is. An example I'd give is me at the beginning of the year saying I was going to read 25 to 50 books per year. I think I read that somewhere. You can read up to 70 books per year. And normally I like to read. I buy books and I read. And I did take a step, I bought these books, including the ones that I didn't love. But for the sake of, I have to finish so and so amount of books by the end of the year. And I share, we have this private WhatsApp group my friend and I and some other friend, and we just share ideas over books. It was like the 8th month or so, and I realized that it just didn't work. As a matter of fact, this is one year that I read the least, because I would start a book and I didn't like it, and I would drop it, and I would start another one, and at some point I was reading like 4 or 5 books at a time, which maybe there's even nothing wrong with, but I wasn't enjoying it. I was counting rather than enjoying the process. So, but it did change towards the end of the year. It did change, and one thing I realized, I was sitting and I thought, I really miss reading. I enjoy reading, so how come I haven't read so much this year? And I miss it. And the moment I changed my mindset from counting, because obviously I had failed at achieving that goal, I just told myself I was going to read 10 minutes a day. So I would, put my phone on flight mode, go to bed and read until I fall asleep. What do you think happened at the end of the day? I started to finish books that I really did enjoy and didn't push further with the ones that I didn't. And I just went back to my habit of reading again. So I enjoyed the process rather than the count of how many books I had read, which I think that's where ego stepped in, because I think I wanted to show off that I had finished an amount, I have finished a total of how many books a year, which was no longer for me. But this was for me. I was reading for me, and I found out that the moment I changed that mindset, I enjoyed it. So you can apply this to your goal, and I hope that it helps you. Now, the final one is to have an open mind. Obviously, 2020 happened, and I'm not going to lie, there was a day I just sat down, I was looking at my vision board for this year, and I was laughing, But yeah, life happens, and that doesn't mean that these things are not going to happen. That is why I said at the beginning of this video that I'm not ready to switch a vision board. I might add a few things, but it's going to stay till it manifests, and that's also part of focusing on the journey. It might take longer than expected, and this is really what manifestation means. So you don't have to force it. Oh, it has to be within 12 months. You have to be patient with the journey. You have to be patient with the process, because there's always something for you to learn in that process. So have an open mind and wait through it. Some things are not going to turn out exactly as you expect them. Sorry if you hear that noise. It's a motorcycle outside, but that's okay. I'm just going to continue before my son wakes up. Have an open mind to accept that this may not come to pass within that time frame, This may not even happen, but there is maybe a why it's not happening. And even if you don't know that at that moment, you might know it later. Just be open towards accepting how your life is going to play, because at the end of the day, life is not a fixed match. If it were a fixed match, how fun do you think life would be? I hope that you have learned a thing or two, and that you would also try to be more intentional, with your goals, rather than comparing or being pressured, because it's okay. It's okay not to even feel like, having any New Year resolution. If you say, I want to take every day as it comes, that's totally fine. I see a lot of videos right now about being, how to get the ultimate dream, how to do this and that. That's fine. I'm not just in that headspace right now, and I'm okay with the fact that I'm not in that headspace, and I'm not going to rush myself to do that. And so for anyone out there who's also not in that headspace and not feeling the need to rush the coming year, I'd say take it slow, be intentional, know your why, return to yourself, sit with the quiet days, just lean inwards, and you would find the answers and the clarity that you need. In the meantime, I wish you an amazing 2021, and I hope that this year turns out to be better for everyone. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you in my next video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye. So thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, please like my video. No, oh, no, don't do that.